Ready to stop spinning your wheels and start moving your business forward? You're in the right place. On each episode of Accelerate to Achieve, we'll discuss a crucial step in the journey, offering tips and advice that you can apply immediately within your own company. From financial management to customer success to digital transformation, we'll cover it all while providing leadership lessons from top industry insiders. In just 15 minutes, you'll be inspired to build momentum through action and achieve incredible results. Welcome to Accelerate to Achieve, the podcast that moves you from question to answer and idea to execution. Hello, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Accelerate to Achieve podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Walser, the founder of Parrels Advisory. We often focus much of our time on the here and now, addressing our immediate needs. As a result, things that aren't right in front of us take a back seat, even though they are just as critical to our success. We'll be exploring one such area which can get overlooked and have a pretty dramatic impact if not adequately addressed. Now, I'm thrilled today to be joined by our guest, Lauren Flounders, and she is the owner-agent for Fusion Employer Services, which delivers outsourced human resource management solutions to small and mid-sized businesses. By providing her clients a level and quality of services typically reserved for Fortune 500 organizations, they're able to recruit and retain top talent, reduce turnover, and improve productivity, resulting in increased profitability. Lauren, I am thrilled to have you joining us today.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm thrilled to be here. I appreciate your offer and look forward to the podcast.
So as we get in here, I think it's important because while some of us might be familiar with human resources, maybe not everyone is. So I thought I'd start by asking you if you could give us a sense of the components and what an organization such as yours provides from a service perspective in those areas that, clients have come to expect.
Absolutely. Fusion is a professional employer organization, as you said, and we have the opportunity to provide small to mid-sized businesses with a turnkey human resource department and legally compliant infrastructure. So most people start a business because they're passionate about something. And so that's what they get into business to do. And then they hire their first employee and they've started a whole separate business that they don't know anything about. So Fusion brings forward this program where we handle all of their payroll, their tax filings, their quarterly reports. We also handle and bring to the table a full Fortune 500 benefits package. We have a 401k for them. We handle workers' compensation, risk management, and safety, and actually the life cycle human resource support from hiring to firing. It's like a concierge service, Ryan. So people go to a hotel and go to the concierge when they want to make a trip somewhere. Well, our clients come to our human resource concierge department when they have any HR issues at all.
No, that's great. And I think probably many people, if you first ask them what HR is, they might say payroll, right? And they don't realize, well, maybe to you, that's what it is. But that's kind of just the tip of the iceberg. And based on the breadth of everything you just went through, I'm wondering if you often see mistakes companies make when they sort of just decide to go it on their own in the HR space, or maybe just pick up someone on the side who they're already working with for another matter, but hey, they'll just do some of our HR work.
Yes, absolutely. That's something that is a common thread through businesses that really don't have HR expertise at their fingertips. What we see most is that the people are untrained around all the laws and rules that regulate HR, from the owner to the executives to the floor staff. They just don't understand appropriate and inappropriate acceptable behavior within the workforce. And so one of the things that Fusion does is bring that training, all the HR trainings, to our clients. So, certainly start with handbooks and review policies and procedures, which are critical to run the business correctly. But then we also dig into trainings on harassment, sexual harassment, diversity, equity, inclusion, discrimination, even down to interviewing techniques and cultural type trainings.
You mentioned a few things, and I'm wondering if you can dive deeper into areas of potential risk people could be taking on if they're not really looking at this seriously, and what should they be considering?
Certainly, if they don't have structured policies and procedures in place, written and signed off on, then they've got exposure. We live in a very litigious society, and unfortunately, oftentimes, it's more a matter of when than if something ugly is going to rear its head. And so what we see is inconsistency in policies and procedures and how they're metered out depending on how much they may like or dislike that employee. Inconsistent discipline and wage administration and performance evaluations and reviews are all areas where we see pretty consistent inconsistencies, if you will.
So I don't want to just focus on the negative. On the risk side, I'm sure there's a way that this makes you more competitive. How have you seen that happen for companies?
I think the biggest thing is that we protect the business by making sure that all of these risks are mitigated with the proper policies and procedures in place, proper trainings to the staff. The biggest competitive advantage, too, is that we bring a Fortune 500 benefits package to the table. It really includes all the bells and whistles, Ryan, that corporate America offer. It's it's health insurance, it's Fortune 500 benefits in the form of vision and dental and life, long-term and short-term disability plans, employee assistance programs, supplemental benefits, health advocate. All of small to mid-sized businesses, if they're going to offer these type of benefits, they have to meet a participation threshold of 75%. With the relationship that's established with Fusion, because we're buying these benefits over thousands, there's no requirement for participation other than in the health insurance area. We do require 4 people on benefits. But all the other benefits that we offer, there's no requirement. If one person wants a dental plan, they can have it. There is no age banding with the health insurance, which gives them an incredible competitive advantage because whether you're 20 or 60, the rate is the same for whatever tier you're choosing regardless of age.
Looking beyond just a point in time, over time, or over periods of time, let's say, do things change? And is it hard to keep up with what's going on if you're trying to do this all on your own?
Boy, I can tell you that when I first started in this industry almost 12 years ago, there were 130 law changes in the first year. I used to be responsible for handling all of the HR issues that arose in my previous career. And when I came to Fusion and really switched my responsibilities, I lost sight of all those changes until one day I took a look and it was unbelievable. The laws changed so quickly and the requirements changed so quickly that it's important that you have somebody who has their eyes on that ball at all times. And Fusion is responsible for not only understanding all of those law changes, but also making sure that our clients understand the ones that apply to them. I mean, when you think about everything that changed during this past year with the pandemic and all the CDC requirements and all the rules that applied to businesses as they're opening up, and we think about what things might come as we all get back into the workforce, it's really important to know what those changes are and how they need to be applied to each business based on what they do and the size of the company. And that's where we get right down into the nitty gritty on a per client basis.
If we look at some of these individual activities that you're able to help out with for business, how does it kind of draw and shape the bigger picture for them?
I think the bigger picture is that it gives them the opportunity to recruit and retain their talent. I love this industry and I love bringing it to the table regardless of the size of the business. So when I get a testimonial from a client with a half a dozen employees and they tell me that because of our benefits package and because of him having this whole compliant a human resource department, he is really excited about the change that he has been able to see in the ability to retain his talent and the ability to recruit the right talent in the first place. Individuals now applying for jobs are not just looking for the money like it was years back. Now they really have an expectation of deliverables on benefits. And the small business owner has no time or talent to source them in most cases, and they can't afford to invest in them. So when it's purchased over thousands, it really does give the business an opportunity to look very different without changing the culture of the company.
So let's think about the capabilities, services that tend to be resolved for the big people on the block, the Fortune 500. What's some of the value that those things bring that perhaps small to mid-sized businesses don't even realize exist?
Again, I know I keep going back to the ability to offer all these benefits, but the ability to stabilize the expensive benefits like they're able to stabilize in the larger company, the peace of mind of having an HR department. I mean, we know that all large businesses have these huge HR departments. If there wasn't a need and a value in HR, why would they spend the money on HR? The money that's invested in HR is protection for the business on the back end. It may not be a revenue driver, but it certainly protects the bottom line. I had a client that came on board with us that neglected, when I did the analysis, I noticed that a number of their employees, 5, were not on the life and long-term disability policy. And the HR person, who happened to be the accounting person, which is the case in most cases, neglected to put those new hires on. That very same year, there were a group of people who went out to lunch and were involved in a catastrophic car accident. And so now I can't tell you it was the same people, but if those people had not been covered on that plan, it would have been money right off the bottom line. Health insurance plans that are audited every month and make sure that people come on and off the plan when it's required protects dollars on the bottom line of the business. So there are so many areas. It's difficult to really explain every one of them, but there are so many areas where we really protect the bottom line of the business.
Lauren, before we kind of close here, you've done a terrific job, I think, covering a number of things, both the sort of just breadth of everything that's out there, because I think if you ask most people, list just sort of what's under that traditional HR banner, they'd come up short of all the things that are going on. But also really highlighting the value and the ability to avoid risk to both the business as well as the employees, even out in the market to potential employees. As we wrap up, I'm wondering your advice to someone who's running a business but hasn't thought a lot about HR, and if they were looking for places to start, what would you tell them?
If they weren't looking into this industry and preferred to continue the path that they're on, then I would suggest that they start by making sure they have policies and procedures that are written and signed off on, that they train their staff, train their high-level executives to understand that you can't discriminate based on the employee that you're interacting with. The rule is the rule is the rule, and you have to follow it. Review their hiring and firing practices and make sure that they're consistent. Make sure that they take a look at their application. I mean, even the questions you're allowed to ask have changed so much over the years that they could conceivably be asking questions that aren't legal. You can't ask what they used to earn. We used to ask that all the time. We used to ask for paycheck stubs. You sure can't do that now. And then do an HR audit. Are their files in order? Are their forms filed in the right places? If someone were to come in and do an audit, is the business protected from any kind of fines? I think that's where I'd have them start.
Well, I think that's terrific, and that is plenty of months of work for them probably to get their head around, and explains exactly why, your organization is there to help them. And for those interested, we'll be including your contact information in the show notes if they want to reach out. And I would just like to thank you for everything today. It was a wonderful dialogue, and thanks for sharing so much on this.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Ryan.
Knowing what we do well and where we might struggle is the beginning of comprehension. Asking for help and realizing its importance is the start of wisdom. There are no prizes at the finish line for saying we did it all ourselves if the race finished hours ago. Thank you for listening today. I look forward to joining you on the next episode. Until then, I'm Ryan Walter, and remember that solving your biggest business problem begins when you decide to accelerate your approach and achieve more.
At Parrels Advisory, our focus is your business's future. Having the right insight, experience, and perspective makes all the difference when tackling far-reaching issues within your company. We are here to simplify the steps, unlock your potential, and move you forward, making your vision a reality. We've helped startups achieve massive growth, mid-sized businesses navigate digital transformation, and enterprises embrace innovation. Wondering how to jumpstart your business and move it forward? Contact us to discuss your audacious goals during a complimentary consultation.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Accelerate to Achieve. If you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen. Got a question, feedback on the program, or interested in being a guest? Simply go to parrels.co/A2A-podcast and send us a message. To learn more about our work or to book a consultation, visit us at parrels.co/contact. Until next time, remember that solving your biggest business problems begin when you decide to accelerate your approach and achieve more.